Strangest rule your family had that made no sense until you learned the real reason. My family had this super weird rule that I never understood until years later. We were never allowed to use the front door of our house. Like ever. Not for anything. Not when leaving for school. Not when friends came over. Not even when we ordered pizza. Everyone had to use the side door that led through our mudroom into the kitchen. TBH, it was embarrassing as a kid. When friends would come over, they'd naturally walk up to the front door, and I'd have to awkwardly redirect them like, "Oh no, sorry, we don't use that door," and they'd give me the weirdest looks. I remember when I was like 8, my friend Amara came over for the first time and went straight to the front door. My mom saw through the window and literally ran to intercept her before she could ring the doorbell. She practically dragged her around to the side entrance while giving this awkward explanation about family tradition and house rules. Poor Amara looked so confused and probably thought we were in some weird cult or something, lol. The front door wasn't broken or anything. It was a perfectly normal door with a deadbolt and everything. Sometimes I'd catch my mom staring at it with this weird, sad expression, but when I asked about it, she'd change the subject super fast. My dad was even more intense about it. If any of us kids even joked about using the front door, he'd get this scary, serious look and say, "We never use that door." End of discussion. The side door thing became such a huge part of our family identity that I just accepted it as normal after a while. Like I stopped questioning it. Our house was on a corner lot, so the side door faced the street anyway, and we had this cute little stone path leading to it with solar lights and everything. My parents put a lot of effort into making the side entrance look welcoming, but I still couldn't help wondering about the front door. It was this big mystery in my life. When I turned 16, I had this huge party planned, and I was so stressed about explaining the door thing to all my new high school friends. I finally broke down and begged my parents to just tell me why, so I could have a better explanation than, "It's just our family rule." They looked at each other for a long time, having one of those silent parent conversations, but they still refused to explain. My brother Joshua thought it was because someone had died there. My sister Brianna was convinced our house used to be a drug den, and there were secret police cameras watching the front door. We came up with all these wild theories, but none of them seemed to fit. The real breaking point came when I was 18. My uncle Rylan came to visit with his new wife who none of us had met before. No one told her about the door rule. She arrived while we were all in the backyard having a BBQ and used the front door. The instant the doorbell rang, my mom dropped an entire plate of food and my dad knocked over the grill trying to get to the door. It was absolute chaos. By the time they reached the front door, my uncle's wife was already inside, looking completely bewildered at the mess in the backyard she could see through the window. My mom burst into tears and ran to her bedroom. My dad just stood there frozen, staring at the open front door like he was seeing a ghost. My uncle looked so confused and kept asking what was happening, but my dad just quietly closed the door and took everyone back outside. That night, I heard my parents fighting for the first time ever. My mom was crying and saying, "It's been almost 20 years, Frank. Maybe it's time to let it go." My dad kept saying, "I can't. I just can't." I had never heard him sound so broken. I left for college a few months later, and the door mystery was still unsolved. Every time I came home for breaks, we still used the side door. It had been 19 years of this nonsense, and I was determined to finally get answers. Last Christmas break, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I sat both my parents down and told them I wasn't leaving until they explained the front door rule. I was an adult now and deserved to know. What they told me absolutely broke